How would you like to be with some people that are going in the same direction that you are? Today, we're going to tell you how to do that. And we've got a special guest that we're interviewing today, Matt Westfield. My friend Ken Kasterko has been sitting down with Matt. Matt is a professor teaching how to be an entrepreneur at the University of Nevada in Reno. And he's going to be giving us some of his time and helping instruct us and mentor us in how to be a successful entrepreneur. In the next few days, we're going to do 11 truths for how to build an entrepreneurial business, and then we're going to do 12, and we're going to have some interviews with some Zambians, some Africans, and we're just going to mix it up. But we're really going to answer the question how to get involved with a network of people going in the same direction, meaning people who are also wanting to build a successful business, who want to be good employees, employers, to how to solve a problem and create another way of living. And we have to do this. We have to become problem solvers with the value that God has placed in our lives so that we can change the world around us. You know, poverty is alleviated when free enterprise does its thing. That's what we're seeing all over the world, and it'll work anywhere if you can get a new mentality, become a problem solver. So, hey, we're going to go right into this interview, and then I'm going to come back and show you how you can become part of what is called the Entrepreneur Assembly. And this was founded by Matt Westfield, and we're going to invite you to be a part. It's a real thing that you go to, and we're going to set those up in Africa here real soon. So, hey, we'll be right back after we hear this interview.
All right, my name is Ken Kasterko, and this is Matt Westfield.
Hi there.
So good to be with you today, Matt.
You too, Ken. It's great to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're going to get right into it. Who is Matt Westfield?
I'm just a little guy from a big family who had to struggle to make his way. I was the last of 6 kids, and if I wanted anything on my own, I had to go earn it. And there were no options. Everything else for me were hand-me-down clothes and leftovers. So at a very young age, I became diligent in going out to try to hustle, if you will, and try to make money, doing things that were interesting and legal and ways that would help me prosper and create a life of my own, if you will. So from that, I started building companies at a very young age. Before I got out of high school, I was running a small little landscape and lawn mowing company, and I was washing cars, and I was doing all kinds of little errands. And then I was a caddy in the golf course, and I picked up all these different skills, and eventually went to college. They moved my program, so I was forced to drop out, and what did I do? I built a company. And that company became very successful. I built that at 20, started at about 20, 21 years old, and I sold it at 28 for just a little over $1 million.
Oh, wow.
So it was very interesting because I'd come from nothing, and all of a sudden I had money and really didn't know what to do with it or how to act, if you will. So there was and there wasn't anybody out there to teach, so I had to learn a lot of interesting things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then from there, I've been building companies ever since, for myself and for others.
Awesome. So what is Entrepreneurs Assembly? And what's the history of that, and why did you start that?
So, through all of my years in building companies, folks would always come up looking for, tips on what to do to build companies, and there's no one way to do it correctly. There's many different ways. But for me, what I found out is giving people tips and ideas and actually helping mentor them through the journey. People were looking for follow-up, and they were looking for validation, if you will. So what we decided to do, I would coach them for a while, then we decide, let's get together in 30 days after giving you some things that you can do to action items that you can do to work on your business. And so we read a lot about in books, and there's a lot of theory and philosophy, but I'm an action-oriented person. So for me, I want to give tips and tricks that people could go out and implement right away, even if you don't have any money. Businesses aren't always built with money, they're built with relationships. And this is some of the philosophical stuff that I've learned and have been able to effectively teach others.
All right. Now, where would someone in the United States, where would someone find Entrepreneurs Assembly?
Well, right now we were built in Reno, Nevada, and we were built right after coming out of the recession. And so coming out of the recession, we found there were a whole lot of people with great careers that were just over after that recession, and people whose jobs were gone, but entire sectors were gone. A lot like what's going on now in this new COVID era that the world is in. And so many people have lost or been disproportionately, taken away from their careers, their jobs, their professions, their livelihoods. And in this time, just like back during the recession, people need to start taking ownership of their lives and of their family instead of relying on others, which is what I've always done by building companies. If we build our own company, we are limiting the amount of risk put out by others by taking somewhat control of our lives and building something for our families and our neighbors and ourselves.
That's right. Okay, so you guys have already been in Africa.
We have.
Explain how that has matured or how it started.
It's wonderful.
And where you're at with Africa right now.
So 7 years ago, I was asked by the University of Nevada, Reno, and a nonprofit organization that works with the university called the International Center. And the International Center coordinates a lot of students and young business leaders from around the world to come to the U.S. And they also do a little bit of coordinating for folks to go over to other countries. But primarily I got involved with what is called the Washington Mandela Fellows, which was developed just about a little under a decade ago. And it is a nonprofit, international nonprofit from the Mandela Foundation. The State Department in the U.S. is part of it. And what it is, it's to help bring some business ideas and some attributes to Africa that may not have existed, resources and things where we can help young Africans build their lives in their communities, their villages and their cities. So Entrepreneurs Assembly is in Africa, EA Africa, as it's called, is an extension of Entrepreneurs Assembly in Nevada, where we've brought these young African leaders over here for 7 years, 25 at a time, and then sent them back to Africa to help build up their own communities and their own social networks through entrepreneurship and building everything from small organizations to scalable organizations.
Right. When you say scalable organizations, what does that mean?
This is an organization where you can build a nucleus locally, and then the attributes of that nucleus can be replicated. So I can take, like we did with EA, if we can get even 6 or 7 people into a room of like-minded entrepreneurs, why can't we do the same thing in Africa? Why can't we do the same thing in South Africa or Guinea-Bissau or in Lusaka, Zambia, or in Nigeria? And we've been able to effectively carry the program over, but because we're limited on funding and frankly we're limited on marketing capabilities, we haven't had, if you would, a vehicle with really to expand Entrepreneurs Assembly beyond our young African leaders, which now totals a little over 100, who've gone back to the 56 countries to help at least take the philosophy and utilize it within their own communities.
Okay. So that kind of leads me to my next question was, why go to Africa? What was the draw for
well,
you?
partly because I worked with Dr. Dave Crosdell at the university and some other folks who are part of this program that we've built and actually helped lead the program. And so we've been, through the Yali network, we were inspired by these young people and all the things that they've overcome to be successful. 50,000 young Africans applied to this program, the Mandela Washington Fellows. Only 1,000 get selected. And this year, because of the COVID-19, there's been no inter-exchange of students or of the program. It's basically like the rest of the world has been put on hiatus. So we hope next year to revive this. However, in working with you and Dr. Tom Greiner, we feel that we have a vehicle now that can help our content become more available to more people. And you have an incredible program that you and Dr. Tom have been working on for, 2 decades.
Power to Create Wealth.
The Power to Create Wealth. And I'm honored to be a part of it and bring the philosophies of Entrepreneurs Assembly and the philosophies that I've been teaching for over 20 years solely around entrepreneurship and building organizations, for-profit, non-profit.
Right.
Service, a product. Scalable companies, as we said, that can grow around the world and replicate. Small micro companies, just for the local community.
Right.
These are all valuable, and what they do is working together, they create an insulated environment where doesn't matter what's going on as much with your government, doesn't matter as much as what's going on with the things that are going around the world. If we can create a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who can help each other and create resources and power in the network, then we can insulate ourselves from some of the things going on elsewhere in the world and some of the things that are directly affecting us as business owners, as community members.
That's right. That's right. So I wanted to ask you this question because people talk about peer groups. They talk about what is so important about a peer group?
And I've been involved with a lot of sports. I've played soccer and football and things, but what I found in any peer group of like-minded people, there's the power in numbers. There's the power in consistency. And specifically as an entrepreneur, I think this is a great question. Because as an entrepreneur, or as a fledgling entrepreneur, somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, you feel very isolated, even within your family and your community. And many times people don't know what's going through your head. And often you don't want to share what's going through your head because they will either be afraid of what's going on in your head, they will try to talk you out of it, they will not understand, and it can create sources of conflict. If we bring fellow entrepreneurs together, even if we're building completely unrelated businesses, there's a commonality. There's a common ground here, Ken. The common ground that you and I found. Changing the world a little bit at a time. And an entrepreneur is seeking to do what? Change a piece of the world. Right. Whether it's a little piece of the world that matters to them or a great piece of the world that matters to many of us.
That's right.
But people who aren't out to try to do those things don't always understand. Whereas if we can get the people who really have these passions to do something that either hasn't been done or do something for self-empowerment, there's a kindred energy there that, in my opinion, is not found anywhere else. And I've seen it in Africa, to your point. Dr. Dave Crosdell and I went to Guinea-Bissau a few years ago, and we judged a hackathon. Here in Guinea-Bissau, one of the poorest countries in Africa, we had 80 people in this hotel room with all kinds of talents, from web building to coding, people who make shoes for the local community, a lady who makes dresses, someone else who makes soap products. They would seemingly, in a community, have nothing in common. In that room, they have everything in common.
That's right.
Because we're all trying to build, and we all understand what we're going through, even though we're in a different journey. The journey is the same because we feel kindred, because you're on a journey of exploration and knowledge and understanding and changing the world. So am I.
Very, very good. So, one question I'm going to ask before we end this segment.
Sure.
And maybe you've answered this, but I'd like you to maybe expound on it. What's the goal of developing Entrepreneurs Assembly in Africa, in Lusaka, in Zimbabwe, even where, even the other 50s, whatever countries you guys have already touched? What's the goal?
The goal is to create an empowered network of young people who can feed off each other in the energy and the technology and the ideas and give back to their communities and help young Africans build their communities back. We've seen what 400 years of colonization has not been able to do. We've seen what the effects of that. We believe the effects of positive change in Africa are going to come from creating networks, and small to large networks, that can create a voice and a momentum of self-reliance, of empowerment, of wealth, of knowledge, and of collaboration.
Big picture.
Big picture.
So good. My name is Ken Kasterko. This is Matt Westfield, and we will be right back.
Thank you.
All right, we're back here. My name is Ken Kasterko, and this is Matt Westfield.
Thanks, Ken.
And we've been talking about Entrepreneurs Assembly in Africa. And we'll just continue to. I'm going to continue to ask more questions of Matt and see what are we doing with this partnership, and where is it going to go from here. So,
Excellent.
First of all, what will EA Entrepreneurs Assembly?
Yeah.
What will that do for the entrepreneur?
What EA, it gives you a place of solace, a place of where you feel like you belong. Again, as an entrepreneur, we go home and sometimes we don't even want to tell our families what we're thinking or what we're going through or the stress. We don't want to stress them. We don't want them to tell us that we're crazy. we don't want them to think that their future is in jeopardy because we're in somewhat of a pivot or a change or a crisis, which happens all the time as an entrepreneur. So what we want to do is we want to bring entrepreneurs together from different backgrounds, different communities, different walks of life, and understand that despite those things, we are all very similar and very much the same in this journey. Despite the journeys being our own, there is something amazingly powerful in knowing that there are other people in the same journey and I'm not alone. That we can go through this together and help each other. And the power of this is, we've been doing it now for 10 years, Ken. No matter what country I do it in, whether I do it here in the US, we do it in Guinea-Bissau or Dakar, Senegal, or recently we've been in Warsaw, Poland. And what we see is when we go over and we bring entrepreneurs together, it's magic. And the ability to overcome obstacles becomes much greater and much easier.
That's really good. That leads me to another question we had that I wanted to ask you, and that is, why are these other countries in the world embracing free enterprise?
Because they see what it's done for America and other countries where we've let free enterprise and we've let the market conditions attract the business people who can, frankly, exploit the market. But exploit is not a negative term in this case, as it could be connotated. The exploitation is really an opportunity to solve a problem for one or more people that you and others have experienced or seen and witnessed. And so if we can solve those problems, even locally, we then find we can solve them regionally, and then we find them we can fix them nationally.
That's right.
And to the point now where all that we're working internationally,
That's
we can
right.
help each other.
And you've been working with Poland.
We have. It's very exciting. We've been for the last year now. I actually had lunch with the president of Poland last year, and we had worked with some Polish startups previously. And apparently they've gone back to Poland and had such great successes that we've got an incredible reputation and a demonstrable track record of helping individuals create businesses, small, medium, and large.
It's really good. And that kind of leads me to the next question, which is the young people or the people in Africa. And there is a organization called Young African Leadership Initiative.
Exactly.
The YALIs is what you call it.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain to me a little bit about what that is?
So we've been involved with the YALI network for about 7 years, and it was built by different countries in Africa, as well as the United States State Department and the Washington Mandela Foundation. This is obviously Nelson Mandela's foundation. And basically, this collaboration was created 7, 8, 9 years ago in order to empower young Africans to help build their own lives and build the lives of the people around them by creating initiatives, technologies, and solving problems locally, whether it's a water problem, whether it's an electricity problem, plumbing, all the different things that young Africans are faced with on a daily basis. If we can start solving those, create a base infrastructure, now we can create wealth, we can create empowerment. If the base infrastructure is there, then we can take care of those needs of the community. Now we can start thinking about building into further needs and more exciting things that we can do to help the young people of Africa. Let's face it, Africa is full of young people. And those young people don't always have the benefit of older folks like us to help guide them into making the best decisions they can make for themselves and their families, and obviously their businesses.
Right. So good. So we're talking about Entrepreneurs Assembly, and we're going to be in Lusaka, Zambia, and basically go out from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's exciting.
So where would someone find out about Entrepreneurs Assembly when we're on the ground there?
Well, right now we've got 6 of our young African leaders who are actually graduates of the program who we've already spoken to about this program. And they are excited. Actually, Entrepreneurs Assembly has had some chapters launch in Zambia, but it has been hit and miss because of lack of funding, lack of support. We believe now, with bringing all this collaboration together now with Father's Heart and the Power to Create Wealth and what we do at Entrepreneurs Assembly. I also work at the University of Nevada, Reno, where we have a huge entrepreneurship program. It's also where the Yali Network is housed here in Nevada. I believe the partnerships that we have there can help us exponentially create a momentum for entrepreneurship in Zambia and surrounding areas like we've never seen before.
That's really good.
It's exciting, very exciting.
When are we going to start to see the local groups in Lusaka, Africa? When are we going to start to see them?
We're hoping that in a matter of weeks, Ken, we can start. We've already spoken to our young African leaders. We have already, from Zambia, and we have a couple of young African leaders from neighboring Zimbabwe as well, who are very excited about bringing entrepreneurs together and creating this fabric of collaboration and, shall we say, an entrepreneurial mentality and an empowerment for communities in Lusaka and surrounding communities where we can gather these people together, young, medium, and even hopefully some elders from the banks and the communities and from the government, to come in and create this dynamic network that we know we can build and we have built elsewhere in the world.
That's really good. That's really good. And there's people in Lusaka right now that are ready to get started?
We have some wonderful young people who are building companies in construction. We have a young gal, Inota, and Inota is building a women's entrepreneurship network in and around Lusaka and in and around Zambia. We believe that tying what Inota is doing and what one of our other young African leaders, Patrick, is doing, we've got several who are doing amazing things. And frankly, this will help them and they can help others, and we all bring each other up to a whole new level of experience, a whole new level of success, and a new level of empowerment in the communities, in Lusaka, in surrounding communities. We hope to build a fabric that creates a dynamic group, development, GDP in Zambia of the which you've never seen. Through trade, through barter, through hopefully microfinancing. We're looking at a long-term project. This has not come in quickly. We're looking to spend the next several years helping build this network in conjunction with you and Dr. Tom, my friend Dr. Dave, who's here with us today, and several other incredibly important people that will help us bring diversity and perspective.
That is really good. It's really good. So, what is the plan going forward? And why don't you map that out a little bit?
Ken,
what's going on?
Thank you. What we want to do is we want to start by bringing some tips, some very simple tips. I was honored to give a keynote in Dakar, Senegal, to what was a conference in December called Digital Dakar. And the first week that we get together, I want to share with everyone what I call the 10/11 truths of entrepreneurship.
Right.
And these are very simple concepts that anybody can utilize today to start framing the mentality to how to go and build your own business, build your own future, and build a dynamic future for your family. And we're going to start with week 1 with the 11 truths of entrepreneurship. And these are true around the world. And in Dakar, when I was there, I was very honored that I built this for Dakar. So it's a brand new module, relatively speaking. After that, then, in week 2, we're going to get into what does it take to be an entrepreneur? What types of people become entrepreneurs? And we're going to talk about that a little bit. In week 3, we're going to have a dynamic young Zambian, and I'm not going to give it away, take the program and talk to everybody in Zambia and surrounding areas about her journey as a successful entrepreneur in Zambia, in Africa, and coming to America last year. It's an incredibly powerful story. And she now is helping other young women create their own futures and their own dynamic empowerment so they will never have to worry about taking care of their families or their communities again.
That's awesome.
That's
so
what
good.
we want to do.
That's so good.
So that'll be week 3. Then in week 4, we'll probably go back and have some actionable points again. And then sometime around, and Ken, you and I are going to work on this with Dr. Dave and several other really, really smart people and our folks in Zambia, we're going to have an interactive session. I expect that to happen sometime around the 3rd, 4th week of August, maybe into the 1st week of September, depending on the feedback we get from all you folks out there. And we're excited because we believe this is not about us. This is about the folks in Zambia. So we want to bring as many of the successful young Zambians into this program and have them share their journey, which will help all of you with your journey.
That's so good. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thank
you for being here today.
I'm so honored, Ken. Thank you.
This is Matt Westfield. My name's Ken Kasterko. You've seen me on the show, and we're excited to have this next season, the rest of the year, and to really get things rolling. And then, we see this for a future to come, the next several years, if not more than that. I really am excited.
You'll be meeting my global network in countries all over, in Germany and in Poland and in other countries in Africa. So we're going to bring all of these hundreds of people that I directly work with together, and you're going to see the power of what this dynamic collaboration and what this newfound partnership. And I want to thank you, Ken, and Dr. Tom Greiner, and Father's Heart, and the Power to Create Wealth. I believe that this collaboration is what the world needs, and I'm excited for Zambia. So thank you for everything you're doing.
You bet.
Thank you.
We will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
So that is Matt Westfield with Ken Kasterko. And those are some great points that he's giving. And the thing that I really want to talk to you about is your need and my need. We need to be in with a collaboration of other people of like mind. And we need to be looking to people who've been this way before and who can say, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, here's where there's some money, here's how you go about doing that. And this is what we'll get with Matt and the others that he is involved with. He knows a whole network of people that can help you. So get into our WhatsApp. You can take a photo if you have a QR program, and it'll take you and give you an invitation into our WhatsApp Power to Create Wealth group. It's a new one. Or you can go to Facebook, Dr. Tom Greiner, and there you'll find the invitation there as well. So, hey, it's been good being with you today. I just so appreciate our friends. And so tell a friend, and don't forget, this is Dr. Tom Greiner, who is saying to you, God gives you power. We call it wisdom to create wealth.